ratchet one time? Look, I don't wanna talk. How you try and press the kid and really you was soft? All you know is capping, homie, you don't know the law. Pedal to the metal, you ain't catching me in park. I just hit the stop.
I'm about that life. Ask P. Diddy. I just came from his house, even though I'm feeling funny after drinking P. Diddy juice. Wait, what the fuck? What's happening here?
What the fuck? When that guy says, wait, what the fuck? I really wish I could keep on hearing him talk, like whatever fucking he's saying, whatnot, and everything, because it's funny as shit.
Yep. It almost sounds like Bob Saget when he did his monologues on America's Funniest Home Videos. Almost.
I can't believe I'm actually asking this question, but where the fuck did you get that from? Usually it's somebody asking me that.
Oh, I just found it on TikTok.
Jesus Christ, dude.
Yeah, I've just found it on TikTok. Yeah.
Anytime you see anything like that, sir, you send it over in my direction, please.
That's as soon as I saw that, I was like, oh, Jeff needs to see this, folks.
Did he actually have a gun in his hand too?
No, I don't think he had a gun in his hand.
Okay, because that would have been too perfect if he had a gun.
Yeah, no, he was just stumbling. It was just super funny. I thought, and I'm like,
generation is
correct.
I'm about that life. Ask P. Diddy. I just came from his house, even though I'm feeling funny after drinking P. Diddy juice. Wait, what the fuck? What's happening here?
It's a phone. It's in his hand. It's a phone.
That's right. It's his phone.
It's his phone.
I know.
There you go, folks.
Looks so big on his little hand.
Yep. There you go, folks. That's the way we start the MCU'S Bleeding Edge tonight, folks. Here Friday night, April 12th, to discuss. We're going to be talking about the 1994 classic, City Slickers 2. The Legend of Curly's Gold. Yeah. Along with drinking games. So as you can see here, we have a small panel tonight. Just me and Mr. Jeff S. TrueKnowledge himself. So we're going to be...
I'm all the panel you need, motherfucker.
He is all the panel I need, people.
Just me.
Just him. Just him. He's enough. He can go 60-minute man. No problem, people. So we're all good. But anyways, if you're not familiar with City Slickers 2, it is the sequel to City Slickers from 1991, starring Billy Crystal, Daniel Stern, and Bruno Kirby in the original film. Unfortunately, Bruno Kirby did not return for the second film because, unfortunately, he had a severe horse allergy, actually, that the whole time he was filming the first film, he had to take allergy medications to keep himself from getting too sick while riding the horses. So that's why he ended up not coming back for the sequel. Because just too much horse riding. But anyways, so this 1994 film, which it got released June 10th of 1994, for those out there into theaters. This film is just fantastic, directed by Paul Wayland. It's one of my favorites. The first time I ever watched it was actually back in the day when you would get the free week of a premium movie channel when you had cable. And they would give you those free weeks. And I remember watching it. And, of course, we were watching this at the very end of that free week that they were giving. And it got cut off at the very end of the film, the very first time I watched this film. So I had no idea how the hell this movie ended until I actually got it on VHS and watched it on VHS. So that my very first time, I did not see the complete conclusion to this film. So,
man.
And it cracks me up because I remember thinking to myself, like, oh, my God, what happens? And, of course, at that time, we didn't have the internet. We didn't have anything like that would tell us, unless you actually saw the film or anything like that, you didn't know how it concluded. So I was livid when it got cut off right at the end of this film for that free week. But still, thank you, HBO at that time. Or actually, it was TMC, the movie channel. Thank you for that free week at that time to watch this beautiful movie. When was the first time you watched it, Jeff?
It would have been probably on HBO. Probably. How long did it take for the movies back then to actually get from the theater to HBO?
Usually a year.
About a year.
Yeah, about a year.
Well, then that's typically with these films that in that time period. it's all around the same amount of time then, because I didn't go to the movies a lot when I was a kid with my parents, or with my friends or anything like that and whatnot. It wasn't something that I did all that much. I used to go with my girlfriend occasionally. Like we saw like American Beauty in the theater together and whatnot, right? Armageddon. You know, I fell asleep the first time I went to see Armageddon. I was drunk. I fell asleep during it. I was drunk as fuck. That was back in the day when we used to drink in the theater. But no, so I would have watched it the year after then, probably on HBO. I would have watched it on my own. And I was a fan of the first film. The first film my dad had on VHS recorded. So I used to watch it all the time when I was a kid. And it's a better film, in my opinion, too. You know what I'm saying? Like, it just is, you know. So, you know, I remember watching it, the first one, a lot of times. The second one, not many times. Maybe total, including today's watch, maybe 3 times lifetime.
Yeah, I've seen this at least a dozen times over the last 30 years that it's been out. This year in June will mark its 30th anniversary since it came out. I can't believe 1994 was 30 years ago. It's crazy to think. And yeah,
a lot of anniversaries popping up.
Yeah, a lot of those 90 films, they're all coming. Like this year is The Mask, Ace Ventura. You know, you got those Dumb and Dumber.
I reviewed Ace Ventura with Andres on his channel, dude. I forgot about that scene with that hot ass chick where she turns around, the chick from what do you call it? Oh god. That movie with Harrison Ford from back in the day. The chick that from Ace Ventura that ends up being a dude. And
yeah,
then
Sean Young.
Yeah, Sean Young. They show her turn around. She turns around. They show his junk.
Yep.
Flipped around without everything. That shit is fucking hilarious, dude.
Yep. It was a classic. It's a classic still. I mean, 30 years later, it's still freaking funny as hell. Yeah, so many great films come. You know, Forrest Gump turns 30 this year. I mean, so many movies came out in '94 that were just fantastic.
Crazy.
That are 30 years old. Because I remember going to buy Forrest Gump on VHS at the grocery store, like in 1995, and I remember like at that time, like VHS brand new, like a new release was like $23, and I remember thinking, "Holy crap! I can't believe a VHS is $23." And then now it's like 4K, it's like $40. I'm like, "Holy crap!" But anyways, it's so funny how many movies are turning 30 this year. It's crazy. But anyways, this movie was made for $40 million. Ended up making $72 million in the box office. So it actually was a box office success. It actually made money back, which was good for a sequel at that time. I think I enjoyed this film better than the first one. The first one was just too whiny for me. Mitch being such a bitch in it. I just thought, Billy Crystal's character was so much better in this film. And then the addition of John Lovitz, it made it gold. This movie was fantastic. But anyway, so tonight's drinking words, folks, for you out there that are watching in the great lands of lands, will be the names Billy Crystal, Daniel Stern, John Lovitz, and Curly, and City Slickers. Those are the words for tonight. That will be the drinking words. So for you out there that want to participate while watching the live stream or watching this when we are not live, definitely use those words and drink along as we're having some fun here, folks. All right, so this film starts off real simple and basic. We have Mitch. He's basically having a dream. And he dreams that they buried Curly alive. Oh, drink. And he wakes up from it, like jumping out of bed almost, like Deal. As he jumps up, of course, his wife awakes a little bit. He's like, "You're okay?" It's like, "No, it's okay. Go back to sleep." And then that's when he gets his birthday call. And his mom is called. And it's to say, happy birthday. She calls every year at the same time he was born at, and she gives her whole spiel on the phone. You know, it's November 5th, 1952. We're driving back from your Marsha's. Water breaks. Once provider, blah blah blah, etc. etc. You know, and basically we have this really funny moment. Billy Crystal listened to his mom say this thing and stuff like that. And drink. And so she basically mom's like, I can't believe you're 40, which is hilarious. That supposedly they think Billy Crystal is 40. Oh, damn, strength. At this movie, when in fact Mr. Mitch was actually born in 1947, so in 1994 he would have been already past 40 at that point.
Yeah, I kind of figured that. That didn't make any. I'm like, no way.
Yeah, so he was closer to 50 at that time. He was about 3 years away from 50, so he was 47 when in this film. He was more closer to 40 when he made the first City Slickers. So, drink. So basically, the mother, says, can't believe you're this, blah, blah, blah. He's like, how are you doing, Mom? Blah, 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 and stuff like that. And she's like, oh, we're fine. And then she's like, your father wants to talk. And he's like, how you doing, son? He's like, oh, hey, Dad, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, I got a cyst on my testicle or something like that. And she's like, oh, and then the mom comes back on the phone. She's like, oh, he's fine. He's fine. And so after they get off the phone, he's like, bye, and him and the wife are awake and laying in bed. And basically the wife tells him what the plan is for the night, for his birthday, that they're going to go out to dinner with the kids, but then the kids are going to sleep over her sister's house so that they have the house all to themselves. And Billy Crystal, of course, drink. Gets up out of bed for a second, kind of making fun, that he's turning 40. And he's like, yes, I like to see the sunset, sir. Yes, yeah. Like he's at an old nursing home because he turned 40, which cracks me up because, back in the 90s, turning 40 was kind of like considered old at that time. Now, 40 is the new 20. So I think it's kind of funny, like how that you watch those 30 years ago and how much the age 40 is so different than it is now.
Cyberneticshark has now coined the phrase that the 40 is now the new 20.
No, I didn't. Everyone's been fucking saying that forever. What the fuck are you talking about?
I thought it was supposed to be 40 is the new 30 or something like that. I didn't know it was actually 20 years.
Yeah, it's supposed to be a 20-year gap.
Well, I'm eternally youthful looking and everything, Brad. So like, you know what I'm saying? You know that like I get carded still and shit like that and whatnot and all that. Like I've got that youthful look to me. You know what I'm saying? So people are always shocked when they actually find out how old I am.
Yep.
It's interesting.
Yeah, so that's the current phrasing that people usually say.
Time Cop looks more like he's just about to turn 40 than Billy Crystal does. Oh, Drake.
Oh, Drake.
Don't tell him I said that though. Sorry, folks. sorry, Time Cop.
We gotta tell Time Cop this. We gotta tell Time Cop.
You can tell him. It's all right. He won't mind.
I will. Anyways,
take it in stride.
So after basically they lay back in bed. He's like, can I have my present now? And she's like, tonight. He's like, but look, the little man wants to go to the party, which was freaking hilarious and so funny. Such a classic, like funny comedy line at the time. Very Mitch, I would feel. And so then it cuts to Mitch jogging in the morning, getting ready to go to work. He's of course he's jogging with the cat that he saved in the first film, and he's named him Norman. And he's like, you got to get ready for beach season, Norman. How are you gonna fit into a bathing suit? You're over 1,000 pounds. He's like, don't forget, Norman, I saved your life. Funny line. Then we see him go to work. He's very happy with his work. He's now the boss, all that kind of stuff. He gets to work, and as he's walking in, he's hearing the local radio guy that works at his business talking to a particular person on the phone about having imaginary friends, basically. And we end up finding out that it's actually Phil, who is played by Daniel Stern. Drake. And he's on the phone talking about seeing these imaginary clothes and stuff like that talk to him to help him get through all his woes in life right now, you know, especially with his wife leaving him and stuff like that. And so Mitch comes walking and sees that it's him talking to him, and he comes in and he's like, and so Phil's kind of like, all of a sudden when Mitch walks in, he's like, and then the radio guy's like, are the socks coming to life, Phil? Are they coming to life? And he's like, and he hangs up, and he's like, you're calling the psychiatrist while you're at work? He's like, yeah. He's like, he's free, and he's actually pretty good. And so they kind of like have kind of their little talk there. He's like, you know, and Phil basically explains how he's like, I'm so thankful I have this job with all the crazy stuff that's going on in my life. So he's like, yeah, he's like, good job, Phil. So after they do that, basically they go to a meeting, and they're expecting an important call. And he's talking to, you know, all the employees there and saying that, you know, we're supposedly going to get this affiliation with this other network, and it's going to be all good. And that's which call is supposed to be coming in. That's why we're having this conference. And so a call comes in, and they're like, this must be the call. And he's like, okay, put it on speaker so everyone can hear. And then all of a sudden it's his wife that pops up on the phone, and it's like, I'm going to sink my hands into your cute little ass. And this stuff, and it was just, oh my god, so freaking funny. And when Mitch realizes who it is, he's like, he starts dashing over the table as fast as he can. He's like, hello. And basically we have that great scene there. So we'll stop right there. So I want to get your thoughts on kind of that beginning part of the film. What did you think about it? What did you like about it? And your overall thoughts?
I don't like the actress that plays his wife very much. What's her name? Patricia Wedding. Never been a fan of her, to be honest with you. I don't like the way she looks. I don't find her very attractive. I didn't think she looked very attractive in that outfit, to be honest with you. Like, maybe she did back in the day. But even remember as a kid, I don't remember like that really like standing out to me, like her in that outfit. And you'd think it would, right? Seriously. Because I can remember, like, you know, like being a kid and seeing like Salma Hayek's, like, you know, scene in that one film where she danced with the snake and all that shit and whatnot, you know, like yeah, I remember that, right? Because she was so fine, like, you know what I'm saying? It's kind of hard to forget that shit, you know what I mean? Like, remember seeing that for the first time. It's kind of like Sean Young, like, I mean, you know, when she made that film back, you know, back in the day with Harrison Ford, she looked fine as fuck. I mean, she looked pretty good at Ace Ventura, but she was fine as fuck back then. Well, I can't remember the name of that damn film. I swear I cannot remember. But either way, no. But Billy Crystal, it's hit or miss for me with his humor. I don't know how you describe it. I don't know if it's a sarcastic style of humor, whatever it is, it's hit or miss with me from film to film, from project to project. And so, like, I really like the scene with Norman. That's good. That was solid. That was pretty funny, you know, and it was a good like throwback, right? I dug that part, well, not everything, right? Like, you know, it was a good surprise too, because you don't know who he's talking to at first. It was good, like, sleight of hand with the camera work and all that and whatnot. I appreciated that. That was pretty solid, right? But then there's no more Norman in the rest of the movie, though. That kind of sucked, right? They could have had him back in there and whatnot and everything. I probably would have liked that more. So that, you know, like, I mean, for a cow, it was a good bit. Right. So, and then I like the DS scene. That's right, folks. I am using abbreviations on names and shit and whatnot purposely, so I don't have to drink. Because, like I told Cyber, I don't want to have to Uber to the bar later. I want to drive. So there you go. I'm gonna do the pussy shit, and whatnot, like Andres, and like, you know, abbreviate names and all that. I'm not like Cyber. I'm not gonna tough guy it or whatever, whatnot. Just suck it up for the team. But no, the DSC with the imaginary friends talking to like the call in shrink deal or whatnot and everything, right? A la like you know, what's his name from Cheers, Frasier. You know, like similarly, you know what I mean? You know, like
Dr. Crane.
Yeah, that was good. Like that was pretty solid. You know what I'm saying? Like it was funny. And one thing I will give Mr. Birthday Boy turning 40 credit for is that he's Mitch is he's good bouncing off of other actors, right? You know, like with his humor. I like his humor better when it's not more soloed up and it's more like, you know, fluid with the other in conversation almost with other actors and actresses. The sex scene part is funny, right? When he like finishes all quick and whatnot and all that. Are we getting that far?
No.
Okay. But yeah, I mean, I like how farcical the film is. You know, like it is very farcical, which, you know, it is funny from that perspective. You know what I'm saying? Like they don't take very much of anything seriously from jump, right? Like, you know, everything is kind of like, you know, it obviously like makes no fucking, like, it's not logical in some areas, right? With certain areas of like, you know, everything that goes on, like that would in real life this wouldn't play out, like, you know, it wouldn't make any sense, kind of like the Norman scene, right? That would never fucking happen, you know? So like he lives in fucking New York. You know what I'm saying? Like you can't fucking like walk down the street in fucking New York with a cow.
Well, maybe back 30 years ago you might have been able to, especially out in the countryside of New York.
That's right. I forgot he lives in the country now. That's because of Mr. You know, C hair, you know, Duke's brother.
Duke. Oh, you're saying Curly.
Yeah, that's right. Thanks a lot. Thanks for making me drink, bitch. I'm drinking Wicked. I'm drinking Red's Wicked, motherfucker. This shit's stout.
Sounds like you're the bitch. Anyways, great
stout.
job, sir.
It's stout.
I've had it. I don't. Doesn't do anything for me. Great job, sir. But yeah, you know, this beginning sequence of the film, there's so many great one-liners. There's so many great just scenes.
Kristen just has that dry sense of humor, though. You know what I'm saying? Like you know, like, or whatever you want to call it. You tell me what the term of it is, whatever, whatnot. And it's just you know how it is. It's not just me. It's everybody.
It's dry. It's deadpan, dry humor. Yes, that's just Billy Crystal's type of work. He actually co-wrote the film along with two other guys for this film. And, you know, it's definitely, you know, sometimes certain, you know, comedians are, you know, only enjoyed by certain people. That's just how sometimes it happens. That,
I like
their acquired taste.
I do. I enjoy Billy Crystal overall. I almost said it again too right there for a minute. Drink. I almost doubled this up. I do enjoy his work, though. I do in general.
So yeah, he's a great comic. I think I enjoy majority of his films. I have enjoyed. I think he has a great sense of humor, and I think this is one of his best films. I enjoy him very much in the film because he's on point. Because with the love and help by JL and DS, you know, they both help make him so much funnier in this film, and that's why I think I like this film a lot better. Because I just think it had a better pairing versus where the first film had that Bruno Kirby, who I don't think is comedic at all. I didn't think he was funny at all. He just kind of annoyed me the whole entire film. So I was actually very excited to see when I saw this one that we had such a great comedic, you know, comedy people in this film. And as the movie goes on, we see that with these great characters, especially Phil and, you know, Mitch's brother. And so, yeah, I just think this whole beginning sequence, the wife calling and talking about sticking her hands into his cute little ass was absolutely freaking hilarious. The shrink scene is fantastic with Phil, absolutely hilarious. Even the guy that plays the shrink is absolutely hilarious too. I love that guy.
Yeah,
I think he's a great comedian.
Yeah.
And just the whole concept of that beginning was, I thought, done so well, especially with Jack Palance, replaying the same character, but also getting the addition of playing a new character, Duke, in this film. I thought it was a really fun idea too. So great job. Wonderful. All right. So moving on. So after the boardroom scene, that's when we go to Phil being asked to come home for dinner. And he, Phil's like, oh, I totally forgot it was your birthday. He's like, oh, it's okay. You just come home. You can come with us, have dinner with us. It's all good, but you can't spend the night because me and Barbara are, And he's like, okay. So they get on the train from New York to New Rochelle. And basically while they're on the train, all of a sudden Mitch sees who he thinks is Curly. He thinks Jack Palance is Curly.
Oh, you just gave drink twice, motherfucker. You son of a bitch. I knew you were going to do this.
Anyways, so Jack Palance is seen, and so Mitch is kind of like looking and tries to go after to see if it's really him. And he notices out the side of the window after the train has stopped, and basically runs outside and looks but doesn't see him. And DS, or aka Phil, makes his way out too. He's like, "Are you okay, Mitch? Are you okay?" He's like, "Oh yeah, I just thought I saw somebody." And with his dream earlier, he's kind of like, kind of going crazy, he feels. So they get home, and his wife comes up to him as he's walking the door. He's like, "Did you know he was coming?" And Mitch is like, "Yeah, I invited him." It's like, "How could you do that? I hate your brother." He's like, "This is Phil we're talking about here." He's like, and Phil's like, "I'm sorry, I'll leave." And she's like, "No, I'm not talking about Phil. You think I'm talking about Phil?" "Oh, no, Phil, I love you, Phil." And she's like, "No, your brother's here." It's like, "Oh, my brother's here? Great." He's like, "How is he?" He's like, "Well, he did his usual thing. He came in, asked for a sandwich, with crust cut off, and started watching Spanish soap operas." And Mitch is just kind of like, "Oh, great, Glenn." He's like, "Oh, great, crazy Glenn." And the kids are like, "Crazy Glenn, like Uncle Crazy Glenn?" And so both his kids pop up, and the kids like the daughter's like, "Yeah, he asked me to borrow $10." And he's like, "Oh, I can't believe he's doing this." And so basically, he's like to the wife, he's like, "How we get it? We got to get him out of here. We can't have him here. I was expecting to make noise tonight." And so he's like, "No, I got it. I'll send him home with Phil. It'll be the perfect thing." And as this is going on, Glenn's in the thing, and unfortunately, as they're going in, Mitch goes to Phil. He's like, "Don't mention the Godfather to him, because then he's gonna go off on one of his tangents." And then when they go in there, and Phil's like, "Who had Frankie potentially killed?" And then Glenn's like, "The Rosano brothers." "Who did the order?" It's like that. He starts going into his Godfather rant, which is absolutely freaking hilarious, and hence why I mentioned when we did the Godfather reviews, the first part 1 and part 2, and I'm like, this movie always makes me think of the Godfather because of this scene. It absolutely does, because Glenn does it so freaking good. It's exactly almost how the movie actually played out, the Godfather, which was absolutely hilarious. And so basically after that, it goes away and it comes back, and they're back at the house alone, Mitch and his wife, and we get our hilarious sex scene. And I remember thinking that this was so racy for 1994 at the time, and this was only a PG-13 film at the time too. And I remember thinking, "Oh, this is so racy" at the time, thinking to myself like, "Wow, this is kind of hot." And then it's like, And then after seeing other movies around the time, I'm like, yeah, no, this is nothing compared to anything else. And I just remember thinking, holy crap, this is like nothing. But anyway, so they have their funny sex scene, and he basically as he's like getting ready for it, he puts on the cowboy hat that he got from Jack Palance. And so as he's messing with it, there's some sand in it that hurts his head, and he notices that there's like something going on with the hat. So he pushes into it and notices that it breaks away, and he breaks away and then pulls out something out of it, and it happens to be some sort of paper. And then so when he opens it up, it looks like a treasure map. And so after he does it really quickly with his wife, he's like, why don't you go hide somewhere in the house and I'll come find you? And she's like all hysterical and laughing and stuff like that. He's like, you're done already? And he's like, yeah, just for the first take, just for the first time. And so she goes.
Hold on, really, how the fuck would she not know? How would she not know that he did that? Like in real life, like, you know what I'm saying? Like that was the one thing I didn't get about that. Like, how would she not know that whether he finished or not?
It's satirical. It's comedy, sir. It's
I know that, but
it's not reality. It's not fucking reality.
I know.
You're thinking too cerebral on it, sir. It's just it's supposed to be making fun of Mitch that he came so quickly. Sir.
I've been watching X-Men 97 too much, sir.
Yeah, we have to. Actually, yeah, the original X-Men. We've been actually watching it. We're up to season 3.
Oh shit, you've been crushing it.
Yeah, we have been. So we have that. She goes hiding, and he looks at the thing again. And as he's looking at it, all of a sudden he sees Jack Palance again outside his bedroom window. And all of a sudden he goes, it basically pats him, and he goes, ah!
He was jerking off while he was standing out there. That would have been funny.
Yes, you would think that, you dirty sicko. Anyways, you and your wicked apple.
That shit would be funny as fuck.
Oh god. Anyways, so after that, the next day, it goes back to them being at the office, and so all of a sudden now Mitch is calling into the fake psychiatrist at the work, and he's like, I'm plotting. I'm seeing this person. I swear he's dead. And I blah 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 and stuff like that. And he's like, and then Phil comes in, he's like, are you hearing this crazy wacko out here? And he's like, and so he comes in, and he's like, hold on.
You okay, sir?
Mm-hmm. Got a little dry.
The other day on the show with Andres, he couldn't talk. His voice got hoarse or something. He couldn't talk. And I swear to God, I was like, that's all right, Andres. I know you just swallowed some big fat nut from some dude, probably fucking like, right before the show. You know what I'm saying? Remember, right? Or whatever, you know what I'm saying? Like, it was funny as fuck, bro.
Oh, Andres, you time cop motherfucker. So after Phil comes in and interrupts that, he's like, yeah, no, it's everything. So he's like, actually, can I talk to you about something? And Phil's like, sure. He's like, and then Mitch is kind of like, oh, no. He's like, no, I like to hear about somebody else's problem besides my own. It helps me take off my problems. And basically he ends up going and saying that he saw him again, that he's been seeing Jack Palance's character, and that he's losing his, basically he feels like he's losing his mind. And Phil's kind of like, oh, he's like, we got to get you out of here, Mitch. Like, you're going to say you can't be, you're not seeing him. He died on the trail last year when we went on the cattle drive. And he's like, but I found something in his hat. He's like, what do you mean you found something? He's like, I found this. I believe it's a treasure map. He's like, look at this. He's like, is this a real thing? He's like, it's Westpac. He's like, eat my dust. Like, this looks legit. And so then all of a sudden we see them go to the library, and they're looking stuff up. And basically, Phil's finding all this stuff like that. Possibly this could be from a train robbery. This could be a real treasure map and all this kind of stuff. And he's like getting super excited at the library. And Mitch is like, you got to calm down and stuff like that. He's like, I can't be doing this. I just turned 40. He's like, what does that mean? He's like, what does that mean? He's like, I'm too old. He's like, no, you're not. He's like, he's like, if you could show me anything that this correlates to Jack Palance's character, I would believe you. And then all of a sudden, as they're looking through the web things, all of a sudden a picture pops up, and it's a picture of Jack Palance young. He's like, no way. And so then they're like walking back from the library. He's like, Mitch, I've been researching this more. It's like, it's worth $1 million to Mitch. It's worth $1 million. Like, he's like, you might want to be louder, Phil, so the crackheads can hear you. And so, basically then they're like, Phil's like, this right here actually is only for 5 miles from Vegas, and we could go, we could do it. It's like, well, it's like, okay. And then after seeing the picture, he's like, okay, I'll do it. And then we find out that Glenn popped up at the work before they ended up going to the library. I forgot this part. And, basically he's like, how funny how Phil got a job and you couldn't get me one. And basically Mitch tells Glenn, he's like, I didn't want you to work here because you're unreliable. He's like, oh, and basically Glenn does like a guilt trip on him. And he's like, basically say, hey, how about you come to Vegas with us so that you can get some actual connections. And if you're really serious, you'll find something. It's like, okay. And so, basically from there, that's when we get to them going to where the supposed treasure is and going on another cattle drive. So before we go there, we'll stop there before we really get into the meat of it. What are your thoughts on that section? The sex scene, the finding the treasure map, all that kind of good stuff. What were your thoughts there, sir?
It's good. I mean, it's the writing and the storytelling is pretty sound and everything and whatnot with the map and all that, with the hat. It's all well done. Mr. JL is a great insertion in the film and everything and whatnot. Of course, he's very funny. He really pushes the edge of of the farcical humor, like he takes it to like the whole other level. He's got really good chemistry with the birthday boy. On screen, I think, like they're good together. It seems like to me, anyways, or at least in this film they are. Like they seem good. They're better than DS. They have like more comedic chemistry. Yeah. The film's very self-contained. There's not a lot of secondary characters. When the birthday boy calls into the call-in shrink at his job, like to start off that scene, that's actually really funny. It is really well done. That is funny. Since it is 30 years old or whatever, some of the humor doesn't quite catch you, maybe as it did when we were younger, I guess. If you look at our analytics, like on our podcast, for instance, at least on the podcast, you see that like the majority of our audience is people who are adult, like people who are from 65 and under down to like 30. Like that's who really watches us and who really listens to us is like people who are like 30, 65, 70 to like 30. That's you. That's all of you right now. That's generally like who you are. You're not like 14 or like you're not 18. You're not that fucking teenage kid that I was telling you about, Cyber, in the fucking private chat in the chat talking shit to me, to an adult and shit and whatnot. Everything, something I would have never done when I was a kid, especially not to Mr. Billy Crystal. I'll even take a drink on that one.
Drake.
But I never would have called an adult man a boy. I can tell you that right now. When I was like 14, that never would have happened. Of course, when I was 14, that was like almost 30 years ago. So this is amazing. But no, I like Daniel Stern's
Oh, Drake.
I know. I like his character, everything going on and everything, and he fits well in the structure of the film. Everything flows really smoothly. It's a very fluid movie, right? It moves from scene to scene very well. Basically, Crystal just drives everything, right? You know, that counts as a drink. He drives everything, and then they go from there. And as far as, you know, the whole finding the map and all that and whatnot, it does connect to the title of the film. So it's well done. It's well serviced as considering it's a title. Finding it in the hat makes sense, I guess, if you've watched the first film.
Very true. I agree. Yeah, I think majority of this film, there's so many great moments throughout. Like I said, all of it, great one-liners, great scenes. I mean, that scene in the library absolutely cracks me up every time I watch it. And you know, Phil saying it's worth $1 million, Mitch Burns. It's like the crackheads didn't hear you. It's an amazing line because totally crackheads would be all around in New York. So that totally like is true, but at the same time, super funny line, I think. And there's just so many great parts about that whole sequence. Like I said, the whole John Lovitz and Godfather's sightings is absolutely freaking phenomenal and so hilarious. I crack up every single time. This movie is, I think, priceless.
That's a drink.
For what?
JL.
And just really well done. Really, I think, well written by all the guys that wrote it. And just really fun. And there's nothing about it. I even, 30 years later, I still find it just as funny as I did, 30 years ago. And, I understood adult humor even then. And, there was a lot of lines that watching now, I just crack up because I'm like, holy crap, why don't we still say stuff like that? That is absolutely freaking hilarious. That's how it should still be. So it's funny how so many of these movies that are 30 plus years old, how things have changed a lot. And, a lot of people, they'll watch something that they watched 30 years ago, 40 years ago, whatever, and have a totally different thought process on the film. And I've had that with some films, but this one, it hasn't changed at all. I just find it just as funny, and I understand it better too now. And I just think that a lot of these scenes were just so priceless. All right. So you have the trailer, sir?
No, I lost it, man. I lost it, brother.
You lost it. Oh my goodness.
Time Cop stole it from me, and he was in a time loop, and he stole it from me.
Oh no. Wow. Well, if you could find it, we'll play it for those viewers out there.
Ladies and gentlemen, meet the new Mitch Robbins.
I'm Antonio. Dance with me. Open it.
Yes, this is one happy city slicker. But there's more to life than happiness.
Your brother's here.
There's family.
There is something wrong with your cow.
I reach under there, I'm pulling and tugging, I'm pulling. Nothing, not a drop.
The cow's name is Norman.
I'm gonna go wash it.
Of course, things could be worse.
I know that this is gonna sound crazy. I saw him again.
Who?
Curly. I'm telling you, we buried him alive, and he is really miffed, and he wants his hat back.
Nobody returned from the dead for their hat.
Oh, yeah? If this was it? Well, what is this? I think it's a treasure map.
$20 million!
And I bet this map tells you where it's buried.
Rich boys, rich, we're gonna be rich! The map is real! The map is on fire! Fire! Got it! Whoa! Ow! Oh my God! A rattlesnake! Bit me on the ass! Somebody suck out the poison! Oh my God, you were right! Curly! I knew it!
He's come back from the dead. He looks great.
Curly was my brother. Curly selfish twin. I can't get over it.
Get over it. Curly was wrong. There are two things. Whatever the hell this is, gold. Let's go get it.
Castle Rock Entertainment is proud to present Billy Crystal,
Hi, honey. I'm on the treadmill.
Daniel Stern,
Something's coming.
And it's definitely coming from that direction.
John Lovitz,
I can't believe you two are from the same gene pool.
He's from the shallow end.
and Jack Palance.
You thought I was dead, didn't you? I want that gold!
I want that gold, nigga.
There you go, folks. The trailer for you to get you excited about what we're talking about. Babaloo Mandel, who was one of the screenwriters on this, he actually wrote a lot of the films from the 90s, actually, that were really popular. He actually was a co-writer on the film Splash. He actually was a part of the screenplay for Speed. I mean, this guy, he's done a lot of great profile films. So this guy knew what he was writing when he wrote this, and he wrote a classic, I thought. All right, great trailer. Love it. Super classic. I mean, it shows you some really great scenes from the film. So if you haven't seen this film, this trailer definitely gave you an idea of what you could see. All right, so moving on from where we're at. So we get to Vegas, and Mitch, of course, starts lying to his wife, saying what he's really doing in Vegas, not actually going to the actual sales convention he was going to. He's actually, basically jeopardizing his career to go hunt for treasure. And so basically they start making their way. And basically it starts off, it shows them basically getting to the first point on the map, and basically finding that the hand points the way. Glenn, and so, well, you challenged me, sir, so I'm doing it. And so basically we get to the hand. Glenn has his trusty little magnifying glass that he's using to read things on the map. And he's basically, reading out what he's like, speaking of idiots, it doesn't say the blah points the way. It says the hand points the way. It's like, oh, that makes more sense. He's like, and then they notice that the structure of the rock looks like a hand is pointing the way. And they're like, the map is real. And basically they start, dancing and stuff like that. And they're like all excited. And basically we get this great montage of things of what they're doing. And basically at one point, as Glenn's holding the magnifying glass to the map, he unfortunately it catches on fire, and so they try to stomp it out. And as they try to stomp it out, it starts to float off and away. And so Mitch goes flying after it, and basically has to jump across rocks and get to the very edge of another boulder and grabs it. And basically that's what you see in the trailer there for a second. He's like, he's like, oh, basically. Capturing it and like basically almost falling to his death, which was really funny because he's like, how he stops it. He's like, oh, which was really funny. But during this montage, we get some great scenes. We see Glenn dancing. We see them like seeing certain things that are on the map. We see the map and it's like showing them going along the dotted lines, stuff like that, which is really cool. We also have at the beginning too as well. We have the introduction to these two kind of like people that are at the little station that they are getting all their equipment from and stuff like that. Basically Phil's telling his life to one of the guys. The other guy's like kind of cracking up at them, and saying, there's 3 things you should know about, make sure to put your boots up a certain way and this and that and stuff like that. And kind of have like a funny little scene there too as well. Basically, you get kind of an idea. We're going to see those characters later. You kind of get a feeling of, you're like, I don't think this is the last time we're going to see them, because just how they were brought in there, you just kind of think, oh, maybe maybe there's more to these guys than we have seen. So finally, when we get through the montage, we basically get a scene where it's at night. They're all sitting there. Glenn and Phil are playing, or playing a word game that Glenn's basically able to tell how many words are in letters are in a word. And as they're doing that, Mitch is over there making a copy of the map.
I wish I had a special abilities like that and shit, and whatnot, and everything. Why couldn't have I been blessed with that shit?
What are you talking about?
He can count the letter, the amount of letters or whatever, whatnot, every thing he hears or whatever, and all that shit.
Yeah, I don't know. It's like one of those kind of one of those special abilities that just some people have. You know what I mean? Kind of like with me, like with numbers and stuff, remembering numbers. I kind of have that. I have kind of that type of thing with remembering numbers and stuff. So
I know it's like them chicks that they'll do anal, but then the ones that won't.
Not the same thing, sir. Not the same thing. Not the same thing. Anyways, so as Mitch is making the new map, and basically Mitch says that he's going to give Phil the map, and basically that's like, oh, why does Phil get the map? He's like, because he takes the map and he puts his finger through the giant burn hole because this happened. He's like, oh, I see. He's like, and Mitch is like, what does that mean? It means, oh, I see. And basically he goes storming off the bed. And basically, Mitch is like to Phil, he's like, is it okay if Glenn gets the map? He's like, sure. He's like, oh, thank you. And then it's like Danielson's like, I mean, he's already getting $500,000, so why not give him that? Like, oh, what's going on? He's like, I feel he's gonna screw something up. He's like, don't worry. He's like, I'm taking care of it. Look, I almost died today. And we have that great kind of moment there. And basically we have some more montage. And basically we get to a point where they are captured by those two guys we were introduced to earlier. And as they're captured and stuff like that, and being tied up and stuff like that, and are doing stuff, they're kind of like, like what's going on here, and like they're like basically saying their words and stuff like that, and basically they're telling them, we're gonna leave you here for the birds to eat you and stuff like that and stuff like that. And next thing we know, all of a sudden out of nowhere, somebody pops out and hits them. And starts knocking them out and stuff like that, and getting their guns away from them and getting them away from there. And they're all like cheering, woohoo, and stuff like that. And next thing you know, who do we see? Jack Palance. And Mitch is like, Curly, I knew it. I knew it was you. I knew it. We buried you alive. Drake. And so the Jack Palance is like, no, I'm not Curly. Oh, sorry, Drake.
That's good, sir. You gotta keep me on my toes.
And he's like, no, that was my brother. I'm Duke. And they're like, Duke? Jack Palance had a brother? Like, what? Like, no way. He's like, we thought you were dead and stuff like that, blah, blah, blah. It's like, nope. I am not. That was my brother, and basically, reiterates that he's Duke and that he's not his dead brother and all that kind of stuff. And they basically, they start talking and basically over things. They say, those robbers got the map. He's like, you gave those guys my brother's map? Like, no, I gave them a fake one. So in case something like this happens, he's like, that's the map you gave me, Glenn says. He's like, no, I sent you to the river. He's like, you didn't trust me. I'm like, no, I knew something like this could happen. And he's like, and basically Duke's like, enough of the yammering. Where's my brother's fucking map, basically? And so they give him the map, of course. And of course, during the montage from before, I forgot to talk about, we have the great scene where Phil thinks he's been bitten by a rattlesnake. He's like, a rattle bit me in the ass. He's like,
ate too many tortilla chips.
Yeah, they thought he ate too many tortilla chips. He's like, oh, it's like somebody needs to suck on the poison. He's like, and both of them kind of like, both Glenn and Mitch kind of let go. He's like, he's your friend. You should suck on his ass. He's like, you sucked with his sister. He's like, yeah, but you're his best friend. He's like, I can't feel it. I can't feel it. I started to go numb. I can't say. And so he's like, and Mitch is like, okay, I'll do it, but I'll never forgive you for this. And it's like, and he gets down. He's like, and Phil's bent over and everything. He starts to pull down his pants, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, Phil's like, "Will you suck already?" And he like goes to do it, and then all of a sudden he notices, he's like, "Wait a second!" And he pulls something out, and it was a cactus pie. And he's like, "You sat on a cactus." It's like, I saw the snake, and I thought I got the prick, and I felt like I thought I had bit me. He's like, "But Mitch, you're really gonna do it. You're gonna suck on my ass." Every time that fucking scene cracks me up so hard. Oh my god, it's so freaking funny when he keeps going on. You're gonna suck on my ass.
They started the whole suck somebody out of suck somebody's ass or whatever, whatnot, like joke shit or whatever, like forever, like right. You know what I mean? It was off that.
Yep. And so funny, so iconic, and just so hilarious. So we'll stop with the introduction of Duke. What are your thoughts on that section of the film, sir? The kind of the beginning montage, the introduction to those two guys that later on try to rob them, get the map, and the introduction of Duke.
The one robber I've seen before. He's from Tombstone with Kurt Russell. He plays that dealer that in the or not the dealer, but one of the like gamblers that Kurt Russell jacks up is Wyatt Earp, right? They're okay. The whole, where the story goes at this point, it's a little a bit of a slowdown for me. You know what I mean? Like, I guess like watching the movie, I felt like it was a little bit of a, slog a little bit at this point. But basically I would say that Lovitz really shines more as the film goes on. Oh, drink. He does. He really like grows on you, like grows on the movie, kind of almost, right? Like, since they kind of bring him in late anyway, some of his best humor comes out of this part of the film. I feel like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and then later on, the snake bite scene, it's set like a comedic trend, right? That's been like used and drawn off of like, multiple times now in other films, like several different films. The whole like, suck the poison out of my ass or type deal, whatever. It's been used in so many different movies now, or in like some way, as some kind of device or whatever in some movie. It spawned like a whole, just fucking thing with it. It's entertaining. I like the whole seeing Mr. 40th birthday with his cell phone from back then. He had a pretty good cell phone for back then. Considering the fact that he could go out in the desert with it and shit, whatnot, and everything, and it will work and all that. Like that was some good cell phone, bro. Like, and it was small too, compared to like the one that I think that my dad had back then. That was like had the cord on it and shit and all that, right? In the van, the van, like that thing was big. So he had a nice cell phone. It was funny how like the redneck robber motherfuckers didn't even know what a cell phone was or whatever, right? Like that was good. That was pretty funny, right? It's interesting how this was right on the edge of the internet when this movie came out. Like it really is. When you think about it, it really is on that bubble. And that's pretty much all I got, sir.
What did you think about the introduction to Duke?
Oh, you know what? Jack Palance is great. A very treasure as an actor. A real old school hard ass, kind of character, actor or whatever, whatnot, that has that like kind of steel cowboy, Western blood in him almost, right? Like as an actor, it's kind of like there.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's a good spin, good storytelling, good writing, a good switch up from the film to still get plants back in there, right? And it was seamless, they made it plausible. I thought, by the way, that they played it off and whatnot and everything and delivered it. So yeah, okay, USA, sir, on that, most definitely.
Okay, USA. Excellent, sir. Thank you for that. That was really great.
That sounded like if the Danny Award said "Okay, USA" right there.
Yep. You get 50,000 points for that great contribution, sir. 50,000 points.
I'm just getting myself prepared for like next time that I'm on the panel for Shogun Chapter 8, so I can fucking take some heads. You know what I'm saying?
There we go.
I'm getting my work in right now, y'all out there. Just let you know.
He's ramping up his game.
I don't plan on not winning the fucking Shogun Award again. Like I'm not gonna like relinquish it or whatever, whatnot on the panel, like this chapter or whatever, whatnot. I'm winning it again.
He's winning it again, people.
That's what's going on. He thinks he's gonna fuck with. He's gonna test my nuts and shit, whatnot. But I'll tell you right now, I'm gonna straighten him out.
Good to hear. It's gonna be a great fight.
I'm gonna be dropping blows, bro.
He's gonna be dropping them, people. Don't forget that. Yeah, definitely check out Shogun episode 8 coming up soon. Next Wednesday, folks.
I'm gonna wear my Yamashiki loincloth.
Oh, Yamashiki loincloth, people. Oh. All right. So, yeah, I think there's a lot of great scenes. I like the introduction to Duke. Palance, yeah, like you said, is a great, acting treasure. He was in a ton of films over the years. He was always fun to watch. This was probably one of the first things I ever saw him in. So, I didn't really have much knowledge about him besides this. And so over the years, I've watched a lot of his other stuff, and he just was a really great actor. And I think that it really showed in this film. I thought he did a good job, and just overall really fun. But yeah, I thought the whole montage was super funny. Like I said before, I think Mitchell was falling off the boulder was hilarious. The suck on his ass thing was absolutely hilarious and definitely started a trend. Most definitely, I agree. And I think it was just really, really great fun part of the film. I didn't find it boring or anything. I know some might find it that way, but for me, myself, I enjoyed it.
In the 90s, it seemed like there was almost like a lot of like older actors. You know what I mean? Like, like that still were like, in the game almost. They could still like draw an audience and whatnot, everything, even at like an elderly state, like age, right? Mm-hmm. That 90s had that going.
Yep. Agreed. I mean, a lot of actors, that acted well into their 80s, 90s, were very prevalent. I feel through the 90s, late 80s, even the early 2000s to the 2010s. I feel so. Yeah, I mean, I think that was a trend that just was really started back then, and just if you had the go-to and you still were able to act, they kept on acting because they enjoyed acting. And that was kind of, they actually acted because they enjoyed acting. It wasn't about the big payday. It was about actually acting. They enjoyed it. And I think Palance was definitely one of those people. All right. So going from where we left off with the introduction to Duke, basically, like I said, Duke gets the map and he's looking at it. Mitch is basically staring at him. And he's like, I can't believe you're his brother. He's like, I can't believe you're his twin. And he's like, you keep staring at me like that, I'll turn you into twins, which was absolutely freaking hilarious. And so basically after he looks at it and stuff like that, he basically makes a pact with them saying, hey, all the half what's out there is all I need. It's like, you mean you get a half and we got to split a half? He's like, is that, you got a problem with that? It's like, no, that's fine. And basically they, say we'll help each other to go find it. So they start taking their way. I wish Shock Otter's Ghost would come back and start acting. Yes, most definitely, people. That would be great. I wish that Jack Palance's ghost would come back and start acting again. And so so they start making the way, and along the way they start like having conversations. Duke starts kind of giving some history to him and his brother's life and stuff like that, and basically kind of the origin of where the map came from. You know, basically that it was his great granddaddy's the one that robbed the place back in the 1900s, early 1900s, and you know, basically that, you know, was given to him and his brother on his mother's deathbed. She was 97 when she died, and stuff like that. And basically, you know, they start making their way, and they have those conversations, stuff like that. And at one point, Mitch, for some reason, sees some sort of beautiful horse, wild horse, and wants to go riding with it. Decides to go riding with it. And while he's doing that, he basically causes the rest of the horses to come stampeding, and basically gets everyone entrenched in it, and basically causes Duke to lose the map. And while that's happening, basically then Glenn starts going out of control on the wagon. Those horses get spooked and start running away. And so Mitch has to run and try to save his brother, and he ends up going and basically jumping onto the wagon and to try to help stop the horses. And he's able to stop the horses right before they hit the end of the cliff and saving Glenn's life. And so afterwards, you know, they're like, oh shit, we lost the map. And the Glenn's over there going, you know, this is a lot different than trying to suck on Phil's ass, which actually was freaking hilarious. And Duke's like, did I hear that right? He's like, oh, Bill thought his snake had bitten. He's like, I don't know. He's like, I don't want to hear anything else about it. And that was like perfect, beautiful Jack Palance. That was absolutely hilarious. And perfect. He's like, oh, I'm the one that lost the map. He's like, no, I should have gone gallivanting with that horse and blah, blah, blah. And so they start making their way again afterwards. And they basically get to a point where, you know, they've lost everything because of the wagon being destroyed and all this kind of stuff. And you know, all this kind of good stuff. And so basically they're out in the middle of nowhere, and they're holding each other to try to keep warm for body heat so that they don't freeze to death after they start trying to make their way. After, you know, Glenn saying, I know which way, that was the rest of the map, you know, this is where we go. So they start making their way there. They get to a point, they decide to camp for the night. And so they each wrap themselves around each other, and to keep themselves warm, they're like, hey, like, dude, do you want to come party with us at Shea Heat? And he's like, I'm up here with a goddamn musical. And he's like, and they're like, no, like we hug each other to keep warm. It's like, no, I'm good. And so he goes back, and they fall asleep.
And then somehow it suddenly becomes not cold when they talk for like an hour.
Yeah. And so the next morning they wake up, and basically they're like, we got to go back, guys. We can't spend another night like this. He's like, and Phil's like, I agree. And Glenn's like, but what about the treasures? Like, And so they notice that Duke's not around. So Mitch goes looking for Duke, and he goes finds him, and he's sitting up, and he looks like he's petrified and dead. He's like, you stupid old man. Why didn't you hug us last night? All of a sudden he goes, and it's like, you thought I was dead, didn't you? Like, he's like, Duke, we're going to go back. We can't survive like this. He's like, oh, back over the blah, 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 blah. He's like, we didn't say anything that looks like a buffalo's back. He's like, here. He's like, look through this. He's like, right there. It's like, buffalo's back. And then the frozen people. Yeah. It's like, Glenn was right. He's like, yeah. He's like, we're very close. I can smell it. I can hear it. Come and get me. And they're all excited. Like, he's like, everyone, let's go. It's like, and all of a sudden, like, Duke hugs him and stuff like that. It's like dancing and stuff like that. It's like, and last night you wouldn't even hug me. And so that they start making their way, and they end up getting to basically get to where this cavern is. And they start making their way inside the cavern, and each of them kind of go their own ways. And they're they're all searching through the cave to find something. And as they're doing that, this is where we get that funny scene in the trailer where Phil's like, there's definitely something coming. It's coming from that direction. And it's Mitch in one of the rock rollers for like in mining things. And he starts going out of control. So that Phil's there in the way. He gets out of the way, and he ends up, the trolley thing ends up going and flying and all of a sudden hitting into something, and he gets knocked out of it into the area. When he gets thrown through the wood and stuff, he gets himself up and he notices something. So he starts making his way, and all of a sudden he finds this giant box, and he opens it, and there is the supposed gold. Oh, I gotta say this, Curly. And so he's like, I found it. He's like, I found it. He's like, and Jack bounces off somewhere else, and he's like, huh? And so they all start making their way towards Mitch, and they get there. He's like, I found it, and they're like, oh, and they're all looking at it, and they're like, oh, I can't believe it. And Duke gets to it, and he's like, I found my daddy's treasure, my granddaddy's treasure, and they're looking at it. They're pulling out the gold bars and checking it out, stuff like that. And all of a sudden, as they're sitting there, kind of like happy, those two guys return with guns, and basically are like holding a gunpoint. Well, he's like, we'll take that treasure. And as they're doing that, they're start saying, they're gonna say, we're gonna shoot if you don't give it to us, stuff like that. And so they basically, Mitch is like, no, this isn't worth it, guys. We can share it, And we see Duke in the background kind of like, no. And then all of a sudden, like, they start fighting each other, and they're fighting and stuff like that. And then one of the guys pulls the gun and is about to shoot it at Mitch, and Glenn comes flying in the way and gets shot. And so then as after he got shot, Mitch holds him and is and they have kind of their wonderful little like brother bond moment where Glenn is supposedly dying. And let me tell you, this is the part where it cut out on the movie channel when I was watching it. I did not know if John Lovitz lived. Oh, drink. And so he's like, they're having their moment, they're talking, and he's like rocking them, and all of a sudden, like, John Lovitz goes limp. He's like, and Mitch is like, oh, starts like crying, and then looks at it. We see everyone's face. We look at Phil's face and Duke's face, and they're all like I can't believe what's going on here. There's no way, like, this is sad, and all stuff like that. And then all of a sudden, somebody comes out of the area. It's like, what the tarnation's going on in here? It's like, what have you done to my guys? And like, your guys are like, yeah. It's like, this cattle drive, like, these are my men. They're to pretend to hold you up and blah, blah, blah. And like, huh? And then all of a sudden, Glenn perks back up. He's like, what? Like, those are just paint pellets. Like, and Glenn touches the area where the bullet was supposedly gone. And he's like, that's funny. And he's like, and Mitch is like, hey, like, no, that's not funny. And it's the same guy that was on the first cattle drive from the first movie, and said, yeah, he's like Curly. Oh, drink. Came up with the idea before he passed away that we should do this like fake treasure hunt and for the cattle drive, and that it'll bring in more income and stuff like that. And basically he says to it, Duke says to him, he's like, is that what my brother was talking about? It's like, yeah. He's like, I don't know about finding treasure, but you definitely make a good living, because I definitely was going to cut you in for Curly's share. Oh, drink. And then they end up finding out that this whole time that they're going along this supposed treasure hunt, they're actually a part of this, basically this fake treasure map hunt cattle drive that they paid for. And so after, they all are outside and stuff like that, and they're all reminiscing and saying, I can't believe you did this, how you did this, how proud we are of each other, all that good stuff. And, Duke is, kind of filling his oats there too at the same time. We have Barry and Harry Shalowitz that we get, shown. who were hilarious, played by two great comedic actors, and basically kind of like this whole trip, even though it was all fake, that this treasure supposedly isn't real, that Jack Palance's character never found it, while he was on these cattle drives, and that this whole experience still was a fun time to helped all three of them out with their insecurities, and they're all proud of each other. So after that, they end up going back to the hotel. And, Mitch basically breaks the news to his wife, what actually he was up to. He's got this evening planned for his wife and stuff like that. And all of a sudden, Duke pops back up at the hotel. And, basically they kind of have a little conversation. And, Duke says, I know that gold is out there. I know it is. And he's like, but your brother never found it. He said, what's his name, said that he went up there looking all the time, but never found anything. And basically Jack Palance is like, well, my mother wanted her boys to do something together. She never wanted one of us to find it just by ourselves. So she sent my brother the map, and then she sent me the missing corner of the map. And he pulls out this little piece that fits perfectly on the top of the map and shows there's a new bearing spot for the gold. And they're like, and basically they're like, Jack Palance is like, come and get me. And like, Mitch is like, come and get me. And it pans away from Mitch and he goes, ah, and that's how the movie ends. So what did you think about the end part of the film, sir?
I wish that that Duke would have said something like cooler when it was funny watching Mr. 40th birthday have to like walk up to him to like share body warmth or whatnot, right? That was some good humor. But going into the ending, it was predictable that the tour cowboy motherfuckers would come back, kind of, right, in a way. But they played it off well. Like it was all, it all worked for me, in terms of, servicing, me and the audience, pulling off the whole finding of the gold, right? And them being in the cave and all that stuff and whatnot and all that, right? And the addition of Jack Palance to, to the team, right? Really changed the added a real different element to sort of like what was the team at that point in later on into the movie. Him pulling off and admitting that like he's not in the Navy or whatever, or not on a boat, like he actually works at some like hamburger shack or whatever place or whatever, and then like mimicking the character he plays and all does or whatever and shit and all that was fucking hilarious. I was like, seriously? Like, that was good. It showed some range from Palance, right? Like, which I thought was really cool to see, right? He had some chops, comedically. Oh, who's that? Time Cop?
Yep.
Fuck you, Time Cop. Pussy. Taking nights off and shit and whatnot. I'm just kidding. What's up, Time Cop? We love you, brother. Anyways, so no, it's a good ending. Mr. 40th birthday, Billy Crystal drink, keeps it real. He leads and holds the film down all the way through, and he is the focus of the story. So it's cool how they service the other characters' arcs with him, kind of, almost. And then they set it up towards there at the end as if they expected to make another film. Which was the only thing where I was kind of like, okay, that was an obvious setup for another film. So I'm surprised he didn't make it.
Right.
And that's all I pretty much have.
Yeah, I was so pissed that they didn't make a third one before Pounds passed away in 2011. Because they had enough time there. I think that was almost 20 years between when they made this and he died. So I mean, they could have done it. And I remember around the 10-year anniversary in 2004, them saying that they would like to make a third film to complete the story arc. And everyone was kind of on board, but they couldn't just get a good script up, and and so it never developed, unfortunately. But yeah, I mean, it would have been great if they could have finished that story. They actually find it. And but yeah, there was so many great moments, I feel, at the end of this film. I mean, that scene where they're trying to do the body worn thing was absolutely freaking hilarious. And JP saying, "I'm up here with a goddamn musical," was absolutely priceless of a line, and was so freaking funny. And I mean, the scene with Mitch thinking that Glenn is dying, I thought was really well done too. Like, you really felt like they were really brothers there at that sequence, because they both were so good at it, and showing each other true colors for each other, that even though they have their differences, and they're still brothers and they love each other. And I found that part very endearing and very well done and played out. And even everyone else's face expressions were on point for that sequence too, because you really felt like they really thought this was really going on. And I thought everyone did a great job. And then the dancing scene, kind of when they figure out that they are finding where the supposed treasure is, and Jack Palance dancing was absolutely freaking hilarious too. And them hugging in the cave was hilarious too, after they had found the gold, was super on point. But that ending sequence, when they're at the hotel and they're saying, come and get me, and so it's such a great hilarious funny thing. I mean, definitely, if they had come up with some little funnier lines like you were mentioning earlier, I definitely agree it could have made the film even better. But I thought the whole ending sequence was fun too for myself. I really enjoyed it. That was really well done. And I just think overall, I love City Slickers 2. I think it's a fantastic film. And I highly recommend checking it out if you haven't seen it, people. It's a really great film. Really fun, really enjoyable. So yeah. But anyways, I would give it I give it a 10. What would you give it, sir?
You've been giving a lot of 10s out, sir. I wish the ladies would give me a 10 in the bedroom once in a while, whatnot, everything. I've been getting nothing but like 2s and 3s, 2.5, 2.25s for ratings and whatnot, everything, as far as like, my sessions lately with the ladies.
Well, that's kind of weird if they're giving you ratings, sir. So maybe that's a sign.
Anyways, I'll give the movie a solid 7.75. It could have been better, I think. I think it could have been a little bit better, I think. It's still an entertaining film. Very entertaining. It is funny. There's some really solid 90s humor moments, right? And it's very unfortunate they didn't come back and make the third film.
Agreed. Definitely agreed.
Why set it up if you're not going to do it?
Right. Definitely. There's quite a few movies that they do that to, where they have a really great cliffhanger leading into a potential sequel, and then they never make a sequel. It's like that ending is kind of, is null and void because they never finished off that story.
I feel like in the MCU, if you actually, it's like, it's like the Eternals, right? Like, they're never going to pay off. I don't think. We'll see, but you'll get what I'm saying, Cyber. They're never going to pay off the shit in the Eternals, whatnot, completely. This isn't going to happen. It's the same kind of thing, except 30 years old.
Yeah, something I've seen recently though for the MCU is that thankfully I think they are going to finally talk about Tiamat and him kind of his body being halfway out of the ocean.
Yeah, supposedly Captain America 4, he's going to be it's going to be the island of Genosha from X-Men. or some shit like that, or whatever. They're gonna make that. That's what they're gonna make it, and adamantium is gonna come from there.
Yep.
Right. Which
That'll be interesting.
That's crazy. That's crazy that you and the wife have gotten all the way through season 3 of X-Men Animated. That's how good it is that you guys have like burned right through it.
Well, the first 2 seasons are only 13 episodes, so that helps too. The 4 and 5 are the longest seasons with 19 and 21 episodes.
I never watched 4 and 5 and 3 and all that, whatnot, and everything. When I was a kid, for some reason, I never watched the whole series.
I didn't watch it until the end of the series. Like I saw like 4 and 5. I saw episodes.
Oh, okay.
I never watched it when it first came out in '92.
See, I only saw the beginning stuff, so I never saw the Cable stuff and all that shit. You know what I mean? Whatnot, all that, right? Or like when Bishop came on the team, you know, all that.
Bishop is actually in season 2, and so is Cable.
Yeah. See that we didn't get that far with our reviews on Monday nights, right? But like I've got to go back and watch the show on my own and just watch it. You know, it's a good show. It's a good burner. I've watched through it at night before, whatnot, everything could go to bed kind of like fodder.
Mm-hmm.
But it is a really good show though. Like it's a good watch.
Definitely.
Just like City Slickers 2, baby. You ready to do some plugs? What's up?
Yeah. So that is it for that review, folks. So I'm going to turn it over to Mr. True Knowledge himself to give us some plugs, and then we're going to get the hell out of here so he can go get more drunk.
There you go, sir. I'm trying to go to the bar, bitch. What's up? Cyberneticshark, sir. You have the floor.
Thank you, sir. Anyways, folks, if you enjoy me moderating or enjoy me on the panel, you can check out my stuff. You can find my solo content underneath Cyberneticshark on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, pretty much any social media platform. As you see there, my most recent review, of course, is Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. If you haven't seen it, definitely check that review out and then go see the movie itself. Really fantastic. I'll be having some more videos up shortly. I just watched Talk to Me, that horror film that came out last year. I'll have a review and a mini review of that up shortly. You know, my Godzilla vs. Kong 2 will be up soon too as well. My Monkey Man review as well. And yeah, just keep on trucking at that 1,075 mark. You know, keep on trucking. You know, thank you for all the new subscribers, all the old subscribers. You guys are rocking it. Keep on watching. Like I said, I'll be having more stuff up, and yeah, definitely make sure to check out Mr. Andres, the Pop Culture Guys channel. Help him to get to that 1,000 mark.
Who's doing Borderlands?
What do you mean?
Which studio? Who's
Lionsgate.
It's as a series?
No, it's a movie.
Oh, it's a movie. Oh, okay.
Eli Roth has directed it.
Really?
Yep.
I can't believe they didn't make that as a TV series.
Nah, they made it into a film.
And what's it? Is it actually going to be in theaters, or is it going to be on a platform?
No, in theaters.
Really?
Yep.
That seems interesting.
That movie has been in the works now for the last 5 years.
Oh, that doesn't surprise me. I just didn't know that it was actually finally happening. I'll have to watch the trailer.
Yeah, they actually filmed it 2 or 3 years ago, and it's just finally getting released this year.
No shit.
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting. That news on Captain America 4 from CinemaCon is really interesting.
Yeah, like I said, CinemaCon was on fire this year. I mean, there's so much. You got that footage from Deadpool and Wolverine. We got the footage from Cat 4 with Thunderbolt.
I'd love to see Feige actually come out in Comic-Con this year and do a full, like he used to do, and do the full MCU deal and whatnot and everything, right? Kind of restore some faith back to the fandom.
He probably will. He'll probably do one this year. They didn't do one last year because they really didn't have much to talk about that was new.
It's not gonna. There's nothing embarrassing about him coming out just to talk about stuff that's already been released and confirmed, or whatnot, right? But it's still not coming out yet. Him just going out hyping stuff and whatnot is not a bad thing.
No, I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but the other reason they just felt they didn't need to. They just didn't feel like they need to. And I mean, in all honesty, with the shit they put out last year and how badly it did, I wouldn't want to go out there. I want to go out there when I have good to show people. You know what I mean? So I get it. I get why they did it that way. But definitely, I think they'll be on the Comic-Con panel this year.
It makes you wonder with Captain America 4, like they do all these crazy reshoots and shit and whatnot. I've thought about it myself. Like, what do the actors think? You know, like You get what I'm saying? It's a conversation for another show, but like you get what I'm saying. It's just like some of that stuff is you don't know the full extent of it, but supposedly that they reshot some of all of the major action scenes.
Well, yeah, because they had to redo them because they had to rewrite the film because they changed the name.
Yeah,
because it was going in a completely different direction with the original title, New World Order. Hello, New World Order people, look that up.
I can't believe Feige actually compared Captain America 4 to Winter Soldier.
He was saying that that Captain America 4 is going to be like Winter Soldier, meaning that it's going to be like more like a thriller, is what he was mentioning.
Espionage, thriller, yeah.
Yeah. So I don't think he's saying that I don't think he's saying Captain America 4 is going to be as good as Winter Soldier. He's just saying that it's going to be similar.
Of that caliber. It's just a similar style of film.
Correct.
Well, that's good then. I like the espionage Captain America type deal.
Yeah.
I do. Having just watched Winter Soldier and reviewed it with Andres the other day. But all right, folks, we're out of here. Cyber, thanks for getting me to the bar, sir.
You're welcome.
An hour and a half is close to an hour.
Yep.
We love you, folks. God bless you. We will see you on Wednesday.
Shogun episode 8.
On Shogun for Chapter 8. I'll see you on Monday for X-Men Episode 4. Jubilee's Showcase with Sunspot, where they kiss and shit and whatnot and everything. It was really dope. Good episode. We'll see you later, folks. Peace.
Hey, yo, Jay, can we get some ratchet one time?
Look, I don't wanna talk. How you try and press the kid and read it, you was soft. All you know is capping, homie, you don't know the law.